We're moving along with the speed triple mods by swapping in a lithium battery and a K&N air filter. So let's get through the battery real quick so we can get to the more involved air filter install. So when I originally bought the bike, it came with an unbranded battery that the dealership basically threw in for free, just to get it out the door. One time it died while I was out riding, and I had to park the bike and walk to AutoZone to replace it with an admittedly slightly smaller battery. A few months later, I noticed that if I let the AutoZone Duralast battery sit during cold days without riding, the voltage would drop, and then on Triumphs there's this incredibly frustrating voltage lockout that would basically prevent the bike from cranking over at certain voltages. The problem is the fact that sometimes with your heart of hearts that if the bike would simply stop overreacting and just let the starter to continue to spin, it would actually start. And that's exactly why some people sort of hack the starting circuit and basically bypass that feature. Having had to jump this bike more than a few times, I went with the overkill option of using a massive Antigravity ATX-20 Lithium battery with restart technology. What makes this lithium battery even more special is the cranking amps and the fact that it essentially has a built-in jump starter. Basically, there's a battery monitoring system inside of it that will literally cut the battery off if the voltage drops to a certain point. If you go up to your bike and you turn the key on, but you don't see any lights or anything come on, it means that the battery drained down below that threshold, which prompts the BMS to switch the battery off to prevent it from actually dying. It's a physical thing too, so if you get to this point, the terminals will literally cease to be quote-unquote hot, in terms of electricity. The only way to reactivate the battery is to press this button on the top, at which point you have a few more chances to start the bike. It also works if you accidentally leave your lights on or whatever. It's entirely automatic and it keeps you from being stranded. You have to trim some of the little tabs on a black plastic of a battery tray in order to get the battery to fit, because the dimensions are ever so slightly too big, but it does fit snugly after that in terms of length and width. The more inconvenient part is the fact that since it sits a little higher, you have to relocate your toolkit from the recessed strap under the seat itself to the little storage area behind the battery, by the taillight. Hey, I'll never be stranded again on account of battery issues, so I'll take it. Right, now for the filter. Now these little side fans actually bolt into the tank, not the subframe, so you have to at least bolt the front of each one. If you're worried about messing up your paint, then you could just take them off completely. There's this long hinge bolt at the rear of the tank. You see those little yellow things on the sides of the tank? I imagine that they used to be clear. They probably just oxidized, but they protect the paint on the tank, that rubs against the seat. Does anybody know where I could find new ones? And finally, there's this one bolt at the front of the tank. Now here's what gave me some trouble. There's this white connector going to the gas tank for the fuel pump and the gas light, presumably. It's the only electrical connection to the gas tank. Here's how I eventually got it unplugged. I used my finger to press down on the tab, and then I used a small flathead to push through the latch to push the male side out of the female side. And it worked like a charm. Don't go pulling on those wires or anything, just use that method. Next is the fuel line. Just push both buttons on the side of the quick release and then just pull it right off. It has a self-closing valve, so only a little drop of fuel will come out on both the tank and the fuel line side. Finally, there's an overflow hose or maybe two right next to it. My bike only had one. For the airbox, you got two electrical connections and a vacuum hose, all on the left side. When pulling the top half of the box off, don't lose the rubber gasket. So there's a stock filter. On top of flowing less air, it also has this metal mesh flash guard, I guess, for backfiring and maybe intake decibel noise level. I don't know. It seems highly restrictive. But I'd like to see data on exactly how restrictive it is. Anyway, this is the K&N TB1005. It's packaged with a warranty thingy, a warning sticker for the next owner to wash the filter instead of discarding it, because OEM filters get replaced, not washed and reused like aftermarket ones. There's only one vanity sticker, and I believe that all brands should send 2 stickers and instructions. The only real thing to remember is to swap the gasket from the old filter onto the new one. And that's really it. I went K&N and not BMC or Pipercross because those filters, they filter even less and they require more cleaning. It's like race filters, basically. I wanted something on the middle ground, basically. Here's a little sneak peek at something. I got these velocity stacks, and as much as I want to install them right now while I'm in the airbox, I don't think it would be wise without tuning the bike's air-fuel ratio and all that stuff, so I won't. But eventually, you'll see these bad boys again, and I'll talk about them more in depth later. Alright, I have a phobia that whenever I'm installing something where the gasket is facing upside down, affected by gravity, I fear that it's falling out of place and I just can't see it. I have to convince myself that it's still in place. The first screw that should go in loosely is the center one, as it holds the filter in place as well. I then got all the other screws in and then tighten them all down at the same time. Before bolting the tank down, I wanted to see if the bike ran like normal, or hell, if it even started. You know, no check engine lights, stuff like that. Sounds good, and I can already notice a deeper tone at idle. I recommend doing the front tank bolt first before the rest when reassembling. Final step, get that seat back on. Okay, so I went for a test ride to the car wash to see if the behavior or the sound changed whatsoever. Instantly confirmed that the bike still has its ridiculous low end torque that lifts the front wheel like nothing. It's just a filter mod alone, so the gains won't be terribly noticeable. It's just a matter of, did I lose power without tuning the bike? And my butt dyno definitely says no. When you're just riding around, you know, partial throttle, you know, mid RPM, whatever, not a huge difference in sound, to be honest. You mainly hear a difference when it's just pulling off idle. Full throttle, high RPM sounds good, but then again, it always did. At full throttle, especially when you're in a high gear at low speed pulling full throttle, it sounds deeper and louder. Full throttle revving sounds better too. Basically, all sound improvements are at full throttle. Which I guess makes sense because the engine is breathing the most at that point. What do you think? Leave a comment, let me know. I plan to do exhaust mods in the near future. I'm just sourcing parts at the moment and I can't wait to get that done. I have an idea of what the very next episode will be, but I won't say it just in case that changes. In any case, that was episode 2 of the Speed Triple Mod Log. I'm gonna go ahead and finish this ride. I'll catch you guys on the next one.